What is going on? Welcome back to I Don't Know. It's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute and a half since I've done one of these. I been extremely busy with work and other things, life and stuff like that. And I've almost gave it up and said, nah, I won't do any more of these podcasts. But then my Philadelphia Phillies made this or are making this incredible World Series run, and I figured, I know some talented people that are in some pretty cool places right now with the Phillies that their stories worth sharing. So I've got two guests today, both involved with the Phillies, and they're going to shed some light on just what this run has been like, sort of from inside the organization and more just inside and on the field. They're both on the field people, both alumni of William Tennant High School, my own high school. So some good friends that go back from high school that are in some pretty cool spots right now, part of this World Series Phillies run. And I want you guys to enjoy that and hear their stories and get excited for when the Astros and the Phillies return to the jungle in Philadelphia. All right, let's get it going. All right, I would like to welcome on John Newman, old high school alum, William Tennant alum, and the current camera operator for the Philadelphia Phillies. I know you've done a bunch of other things. You've done stuff for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. I mean, you've been kind of everywhere doing a lot of things. You have your own production company. First off, John, thank you for joining me. And how are you doing today?
Doing good, Noah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's fun times here in Philly. It's been great.
Yeah. So, what has been just the atmosphere or energy like at your job with the Phillies right now?
Dude, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. I mean, like I've been there for 5 seasons. Fortunately, I started there in college. You get your tastes of the big crowds down there at the stadium, but this playoff run has been just like something I've never experienced before. I mean, like you and I were kids the last time the Phillies were in a playoff run like this. So I was lucky enough to go to a lot of those games with my parents and stuff like that. So it's like it's both sentimental and it's also like I don't remember the stadium being that loud. So it's kind of just been surreal.
And just to backtrack a little bit, so you've done this job for 5 years. How did you get this job? How did you find yourself kind of being a camera operator on the field for the Phillies?
Yeah, so I mean, every just like anything else, it's like networking. So I kind of was, at the time in college, I was looking to learn more about live production. I was kind of just like really eager to learn about like all aspects of production, kind of like what's movies, how are movies different from TV? How's TV different from like live production? How's live production different from like just standard video production and stuff like that. So I kind of reached out to the Phillies and just expressed my interest in learning stuff, and my boss currently gave me a shot. Basically, it was just right time, right place, and I started doing camera stuff at the Yard, which is like their like wiffle ball stadium.
Right, where the kids hang out and
That they,
everything.
yeah, exactly. So I started there, and then in 2018, I started doing handheld camera for the jumbotron, and I've been there ever since. It's just been like a really fun summer job.
And so, what's like the day to day when you're working on a Phillies game? What are you? Where are you going? Who are you filming? What's like the
Yeah, so I mean it's pretty routine every day. I mean, like, so I work for the Phillies internal broadcast, and the ultimate goal is just to give the fans the best experience as possible, and then also to just make sure that they can see what's going on the field and stuff like that. So I usually, we cover stuff on the field, like pregame, like first pitch, if there's any special guests or anything like that. And then during the game, it's basically, I'm fortunate that I get to be one of the camera guys that I walk around the stadium. I go section to section and just make sure that fans are having an enjoyable experience, and that, especially kids and families and stuff like that, I love to put them on the screen because I used to go to games as a kid, and I never got to see myself on that jumbotron, and so to be able to make people's day, it's like the best job ever.
So you decided I never got on, so I'll make sure I'll be the person deciding who's on and who's off.
Yeah,
I like
kind
it.
of.
What do you
Yeah,
do
we
for
try to,
people?
I try to show anybody that's having a fun time and is a good Phillies fan, I put them on the screen, and it's just a special thing to do.
And so I did at Penn State. I did live camera operations for our football field. Similar
Yeah.
thing, handheld camera, direct feed to the jumbotron. Tell me, like, what? There's sort of a special relationship, kind of being like that pinpoint for the fans of like this is for everyone else, and sort of being that liaison. How special has that been during this run to be able to go and
Oh
put
yeah.
the camera on some crazy fans, some young kids losing their minds? What's that been like?
Oh, dude, I mean, it never gets old. It never gets old. Like it's just a special thing. Especially just to, I mean, just speaking for the Phillies in particular, just to be a part of that organization. I mean, like I'm freelance, so I like a misconception a lot of people have is they think a lot of people think I work there full time. I worked there and basically during the season, just as a seasonal kind of camera operator for the live games. But just to be a part of the organization is amazing. Like they're, you know, a lot of people, especially with like the passing of David Montgomery and stuff like that a few years ago, like a lot of people were talking about like the family oriented aspect of the Phillies, and like it's so true. I mean, there's a reason I've been there for 5 seasons, and people have worked there for 30 seasons. It's like, you know, it's from the top down, from my bosses to above them. It's kind of just it's a family oriented organization, and to be able to like walk around the stadium and be amongst the fans is just an amazing experience, dude. Every day I work.
And so you were saying, I mean, you don't almost remember it being this loud, and it probably is even louder than it was just because of this long drought. Has there been a moment these playoffs that you've been working that you've like been snapped out of work mode and been like, holy crap, this is incredible?
Yeah, dude. I mean, like I was kind of telling people, you know, I mean, when I'm going into these playoff games, I'm speaking for myself personally. It does get kind of nerve wracking when I'm eating my lunch or dinner, and then I hear helicopters above the stadium because it's something I've never experienced before. So like having all the national people there, and then hearing like the helicopters, and like knowing like, oh crap, like before, like during this playoff run, I had to remind myself like we're one of 4 baseball games that's playing today, and then it was like, oh, we're one of 2 baseball games, and now it's like it's going to be like we're the only baseball game,
Of one.
professional baseball game that's playing today. So like there's nerves that go into that, and I get anxious, but I kind of go into it just like treating it honestly for myself like it's any other baseball game. When I'm down on, whether I'm on the field or I'm in the stands, I'm like, this is just like any other baseball game. I'm going to treat it the same. I mean, I'm definitely like doing some things different that I wouldn't do just because of the big crowd, and just to make sure like to document everything. But I treat it like it's a regular game just to not get myself freaked out. But like in terms of the surreal nature of it, I've been telling people like there's just been a few moments where I've had to like when I put my camera down, I kind of force myself to be like, okay, now enjoy this for a second. And like a lot of the seasoned veterans, like I said, there's some camera operators that have been there for 30 years, people in the control room that were there during '08, during the '90s, and they would tell me like, yo, Newman, go enjoy this, like make sure you work hard, make sure you do everything you need to do, but like enjoy the moment, because it doesn't come that often. Because um you know there was a point where we were on such a long run for five there were for 5 years, we were in contention, and then it felt like the new normal, and then all of a sudden it was like 10 years of unfortunately no playoffs. So I've occasionally put my camera down and I look around and I'm like, okay, this is not only something that's really cool, this is something I'll probably tell my grandchildren about one day. It's like the electric feeling, and the fact that all the national media are saying like it is the worst place well, it's the best place to play if you're the home team, but if
Right.
you're an
Depending on
away
the
team,
team.
I saw like there was like a report that one guy, Jared Carabas or whatever, he does like the DraftKings or John
Mhm.
Boy, I don't know what it is, but he was like last night after the Phillies lost, he's like, or yeah, after the Phillies lost, he's like, oh, the Astros are going to the danger zone or something like that. Like he phrased it that sort of way. I was like, that's very true. I
He
mean,
called it the
it's
danger zone, and Nick Castellanos called it the jungle, which is
oh yeah,
awesome.
welcome to the jungle, man.
It's a sweet nickname.
Yeah,
And no,
yeah,
even when in that one of those games, Ken Rosenthal, his phone sent an alert saying like you're in a noise where the decibels are too
yeah,
loud, like for your safety, go somewhere else. So
yeah.
it's been electric. Was there, and I don't know which games you worked and didn't work, but was there a
Yeah.
moment so far that is the moment yet, whether it was Hoskins' big 2-run homer, was it JT's inside the park, Harper's go ahead? Was there a moment that you were on the field and you had a second to be like, I'm gonna remember this forever?
Yeah, dude. I mean,
There's been a
it's
lot of moments. There's been
honestly,
a crazy amount of
dude,
moments so far.
there
So
have been a lot of moments, and like that's the one thing about this playoff run is there's been like it'd be hard to even make a top 10. I mean, almost every single game, with the exception of last night, maybe there's been like an all-time Phillies moment, which is crazy. Unfortunately for the Harper home run, like I was so in the zone and focused on like what was going to happen. And like what I was recording at the time. And then also I was worried about like what's going to happen if we win. Like I had like I had a certain assignment where I had to like be
mhm.
somewhere. So I was a little nervous about like navigating and stuff. But I had my camera up for that Harper home run, and like I'll even just speak to that. Um, if you remember, like the biggest Phillies moment of the past decade, with the exception of this playoff run, has been what the Harper
Well,
2019
against the
powder blue
Cubs.
jersey walk off against the Cubs, and I got the pleasure to work that. And when I was working that, although I was focused, like I was like enjoying it. Like I was like just running around, like capturing all the reactions. I was so hyped. Like after it happened, like the other camera guy I was working with, like we gave each other high fives. We're like, oh my god, I haven't. And the camera guy I was working with was there for the playoff run at the time. He's like, I have never experienced anything like that since the playoffs. In 08, 09, 2010, 11. But then this Harper home run that just happened, against the Padres, I didn't feel that excitement because it was so shocking. I just felt pure like disbelief. Like I didn't even feel the excitement that I felt from that other Harper walk off. Like I was just like, oh, okay, that just happened. Holy crap. And then of course I have my shots framed up and I was recording, fan reactions and stuff like that. But I mean, that was the biggest moment by far, and it was just shocking, pure shock and disbelief. It wasn't even excitement. Like there was no room for that.
Similar to, I mean, Harper's own reaction. Everyone loves that clip from the dugout. Like, I just did that. So you were
Yeah. Oh
sitting there
my
like,
God, I just did
you
that.
just
Yeah.
did that. Like, oh my,
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone was like that. I don't think anyone could believe the fact that he did that. I mean, with Harper, you can believe he can do anything, but like that was the biggest spot. That was the hit of his life,
yeah.
just like the Joe Davis call, the swing of his life. It was amazing.
No, yeah, it was the right guy in the right situation. You just doesn't always
Yeah.
happen like that, but it happened as well as it could have been scripted, better than it could have been scripted.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a moment to. You can be fan John Newman right now, obviously a lifelong Phillies fan. I do want to
Yeah.
touch on so that the Phillies and this Phillies fan base has come a long way. As a fan, you were part of the Fandemic crew, right?
Oh no, I'm not. There's a lot of people think I'm a part of them.
I
No,
thought you were. I know
I
you were a document. I thought it was a
no,
little bit of a dual action role
no,
there.
no, no, no. I mean, I love. First of all, shout out to the Pandemic crew. I love them, but my relationship with them was kind of like when the Phillies aren't playing at home, I'm always watching games, and especially during 2020, where I kind of had to take the back seat, and I was watching purely as a fan every single game, because of COVID and everything. The Fandemic crew was something that made myself laugh, made my dad laugh, like hearing those air horns. And 2020, first game I worked, I ended up seeing them, and I went up to them and was like, "Oh my gosh, guys! Like, thank you for just like keeping everybody positive and for staying positive during that dark time and for making me laugh. And you made my dad, my dad and myself laugh during all the home games where we heard you guys, and since then it kind of just became like a routine. Every game I go right up to them and give them some love because they're the most positive fan besides like just being funny during 2020 and stuff like that. Like during this season and the past season, like anytime I go up to them, if we're down 7 runs, if we're down 4 runs, whatever it is, if the game looks completely bleak, they're always positive. They're always like, "Oh, we're gonna pull this off. We're gonna win." So it's like I always love talking to those guys. They're great.
And how cool is it to see from in this just 2 year span? Obviously, a lot's changed in the world, but to see this group of 15 plus that are just sitting outside the stadium for every game.
Yeah, yeah.
This packed house, seeing the jungle for this playoffs. How cool is it to kind of see that
Oh yeah.
that change?
Oh man, it's crazy. I mean, for them, they've been to a lot of games where, you know, there were some dark times for this team. I mean, it's been peaks and valleys, and they got to see some of the darkest times, and the fact that they're there during the playoff run. Like I always see them, and I give them high fives. Like when I'm working, I'm like, "We're here! Like we're here! We did this!" Like, so that's surreal, and I don't. I feel like everyone could just use a little pinch right now to be reminded that they're awake. Like this is real. this is happening, and I still haven't fully gotten to that point yet because working their side, like I'm a huge Phillies fan, and like it's felt like I always rock my Phillies jersey when I go out to watch the games and stuff like that, and I've kind of felt like I was in the minority a little bit for the past few seasons. And now that the whole, during the Cardinals series was the most surreal for me because that's when you started to see people breaking out the Phillies jerseys. And I remember right before that amazing ninth inning comeback game, I was driving around my neighborhood and I just saw everyone I saw had a Phillies jersey that was outside. People gardening had Phillies jerseys. People walking their dogs had Phillies jerseys. People at the grocery stores had Phillies jerseys, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this town is back in on the Phillies, and that's the best thing. I mean, there's no better feeling than when Philadelphia is back in on their baseball team, and it's been such a good playoff run.
No, it's been fantastic. The city just absolutely rallies around the team the moment that there's a bit of momentum, and I mean they give them the best home field advantage I think in all of baseball, maybe up there in all of sports so far from what we've seen. As a fan or as a camera operator on the field, I want to get your opinion. What do you think at this moment? The series is tied up 1-1. They split in Houston. What are you expecting when they come back home, when they come back to the jungle? And what is your World Series prediction?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been more. I've been more nervous for this series just because of who the Astros are. But every series, I mean, whether it was the Braves or the Padres, for these series, I felt so nervous because you think, wow, this is actually a really good baseball team. Not that we aren't, just that like you're looking at an organization that has been, winning consistently, especially with like the Braves and the Astros, and you kind of feel intimidated. But a lot of my friends have just been saying like Phillies in five, and it couldn't be more true because if you look at the Braves series and then you look at the Padres series, what happened? We win the first game away, we lose the next game away. We split. We come back home to the jungle and we sweep. And that it was more easy for me to believe that was going to happen during the Braves series. Like I was very optimistic. Then for the Padres, I was like, okay, I could see us taking like 2 or 3 and then winning one over there. And then we did the same thing again. So why couldn't it happen a third time? I feel nervous about it, but why can't it happen a third time? Why can't we sweep at home? I feel like it's Phillies in 5 all the way.
Why not Phillies in 5, sweeping home an undefeated playoff home record? John, I like it. I like the confidence. My personal prediction before the series started, I say Phillies in 7. I think this Astros team, I think they're going to steal one from us at home in the jungle. They'll get lucky one time.
Maybe. It's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be tough for them to play in that atmosphere. I mean, I heard from a lot. I mean, I saw a lot of the reporters just talking about, and I saw the one news anchor out there was just talking about like, oh, this Astros game really sounded like my girl's t-ball game or something like that, or
Right.
volleyball game or something, and it really does. I mean, there was points where the Astros fans, I heard them get pretty loud, but I mean, the Phillies fans down there, they're standing for every single pitch. Everyone's on the edge. Everyone's chanting stuff that I can't necessarily say. And it's kind of just like the Phillies fans are always standing. They're always into it. It's
It's a
crazy. I mean, I can't imagine being an opposing player in that stadium.
No, it's another level. I think they're going to be rocked a little bit by it. If you see any either trash can costumes or are you putting that on the screen, or
I,
you've been
I would,
directed to not include that?
I would love to. I don't know if that's something we would show, but I would. I'm definitely gonna laugh at it. I'm definitely going to be cracking up at seeing that. Um, yeah,
I'm sure they'll be there. I know for a fact there'll be at least a few.
yeah. That's awesome.
All right, John. Hey, I appreciate the time. It's been nice catching up with you. I wish you, the best of luck. Enjoy this series. I mean, that's a surreal experience to be there on the field, kind of experiencing that, as a part of the organization. I mean,
Yeah.
win or lose, even though I think they're gonna win, it's soak it up and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. Enjoy watching the games. I know I'm gonna enjoy being down there and experiencing that. And I hope I don't have to watch another game from the couch. I hope that Phillies in five. I hope that we sweep at home.
Hey, I like your prediction, and I hope we see it too.
Absolutely. Thanks, Noah. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thank you, John. All right, so now we're here with Jackie Heim, a Philadelphia Phillies ball girl, another William Tennant alum, my high school alma mater. Jackie, it's been a little bit, but how you doing?
It's been a minute, but it's been good. Trying to live life to the fullest the last couple weeks. It's been unexpected, but it's been a good change.
Yeah, what's sort of been like the atmosphere, the vibe like with the other ball girls, just with the whole organization in the city right now?
The city, it's been electric. Like I really, it's hard to describe because like I feel like I haven't had this feeling since they made their World Series run in 2008. But even walking up to the stadium, like you got the fans cheering. They've been there all day. They're cheering you on. Like as soon as you step in that stadium, it's like a whole new world. It's the most electric environment I've ever been in, and it's really exciting. Every time I step in there now, I get chills.
Yeah, I don't
It's
even blame
awesome.
you. And so you're ball girl with the Phillies. How long have you been doing that?
hmm
And how did you get that? How does one become a ball girl?
So this is my second year doing it. They actually, when I played softball in college, one of my teammates actually was a ball girl at the time, and she told me to go for it. I applied, I think it was about 5 years ago. I didn't get it the first time around, but on a whim, I saw that they had posted something on social media in 2019. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll put in for it and see what happens. And I kind of just went through their interview process, went through all their selection things, not really expecting much. And then I got a phone call back from manager at the time, just telling me that I got it. It was an unreal feeling getting that phone call.
And I know, you were obviously an elite softball player in high school and in college as well. So you're a great softball player. Is that like a prerequisite? Are there tryouts? Like how much does like being an athlete and a softball player kind of factor into that?
So it definitely helps out playing softball because you have that background. You have to do like when you do the tryouts, you have to go through like a physical tryout. You got to field balls, hit balls. You have to go through like a knowledge of the team. They give you a test on the Phillies, which is quite interesting. Some of the questions I never expected to be on there. You have to do that. You have to do a camera interview, and then you have to do like a personality test almost. It's interesting. I've never been in an interview like that where I've had like a camera on me. I have like news stations asking me questions just for
Huh.
like a tryout for something that like only 20 people get.
Yeah. What were some of like the
It was
Phillies?
definitely interesting.
What were some of those like Phillies trivia questions?
Um, so they asked you like basically like what are the retired numbers? What are the statues in the stadium? Like who is our current manager, who our current like GM is, and then they have ones about the fanatic too, like where he's from, like what are his friends' names. I'm not gonna lie, I failed that one. I had no idea. I had no idea what it was, but there's actually Quizlets for it now because people take it so seriously at this point. They have Quizlets for like the test you have to take on the Phillies.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So, like, did you just like study before and did you have flashcards or use the Quizlets?
No, I kind of just went off like my my knowledge. Like I've been watching the Phillies since I was young with my parents, and I kind of knew most of it. Like I feel like I did okay on their test, but like definitely didn't know the Fanatics friends. That's always one that now I know all their names. So
Who are the
that
Fanatics
was the one
friends?
that tripped me up a little bit. He's got Calvin, he's got Betsy. Girl's name. That's Calvin. He's got one more, I forget her name, but they're all quite interesting. You'll see them around the stadiums, like bopping people and like dancing with them. They're awesome. They're really
Okay.
funny, actually.
Okay. Interesting. I never knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know it until you like actually do something like that, and they ask you these questions, and you're like, I never knew anything like that until you asked me. But I've been at the stadium for like, I was there all summer, so
Mm-hmm.
get to know a lot when you're there, just
I'm,
wandering around, taking everything in.
I'm sure, man. As a lifelong Phillies fan, obviously lifelong softball player and fan of the sport. I mean, what was it like, that once you got the job in that first game when you were like, I'm here on the field for the Phillies?
So I honestly didn't get that feeling because when I got the job, I got it in 2019, right before the pandemic really like took off. So 2020, I didn't get to do it. I was really looking forward in 2020 to my first year, really getting into it, doing the ball girl thing. And it was actually a big letdown. Like I was really excited for it, and like I wanted to tell people that I was a ball girl, but like in that time, like there really was no being a ball girl. So 2021 rolls around, and that's when I finally got to do it. It was honestly like the best experience of my life. I never thought that I would ever be able to like sit on the field or like be that close to players or any of that. But it was a special feeling. Like I haven't felt anything like that probably in a couple of years, but
And so
it's awesome.
when was your first game?
My first game, I want to say it was July of 2021 was my first like on field game. But all of 2020, I still did events for the Phillies. We did a lot of recordings and videos. And then 2021, the restrictions were still there, but they were definitely opened a little bit. But my first game was in July 2021.
Gotcha. And how does it like? How many ball girls are there, and how's like the rotation work? Is it just like on a schedule, or how does that function?
So it's basically because our boss knows that most of this is a second job or that people are doing it with school. So it's pretty much an open schedule. Like they'll send out the schedule a month in advance and you'll sign up for whatever like fits in your schedule. So like all summer I signed up for as many as I possibly could. Just to really, really take it in and like use that chance.
Right. And so you're doing this as sort of a side gig, sort of for fun. I know you're doing softball coaching. What else are you up to? I guess is the primary.
So I'm a rep for Pepsi. That's my full-time job. So that's what I do full time. I do have plans to go back to school once being a ball girl is over, but
What does that ball girl timeline look like for you?
So December is actually like the last month. It's a 2-year contract. So when I got the contract in 2019, they didn't count the 2020 year because obviously they had no fans, so nobody worked. So 2021 and 2022 would be my 2 years, and then after that, move on to bigger and better things, I guess. Yeah, but it's only a 2-year contract, which kind of sucks, but it's you make the most of it in the 2 years. Like you meet your experience is based off what you make of it.
Oh, I'm sure. And so what is, I guess, as the ball girl, like, what is that dynamic? Obviously, you're there you're on the foul line, giving balls to fans. What's the fan interaction like? Is there player interaction, and do you kind of keep your distance? How does that all work?
So right now we're trying to like keep our distance from the players because they still have COVID restrictions that like we don't know about. Like so we're technically not even supposed to like be around them really unless there's like some big event going on that like they got clearances for. But they'll still come up, they'll sign balls and everything. I actually had Brandon Marsh the one time. I put my stool down, I was getting ready for the game, and like he walked right up to me and like started signing baseballs, jerseys, all that. And I was just like, I don't know if I should be here. Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna stand here awkwardly and pretend that this is not happening. But it's cool. I don't really have that many interactions with the players right now, but they've definitely in the last couple of weeks started to like ease up and like get the fan involvement going again.
And as someone,
And you can tell.
oh yeah,
You can
they're
tell
certainly.
the fans are so tied. They're so locked in now. It's awesome.
And so yeah, what has that been like as someone obviously who's on the field for a lot of these games, seeing this playoff run, this magical run, and also just seeing the way like the fans and city has responded?
So it's pretty. It's almost. I can't put it into afterwards. Like you see a full stadium. There's 45,000 people in there, and you see them all waving their rally towels, and it's breathtaking, honestly. Like I walked up the first time to see like all the rally towels in their first home game when they played the Braves, and there's four of us that go onto the field for like pregame events, and we all were just kind of looking around, like taking it all in, like this isn't happening. Like it can't be real. Like you almost get teary eyed because like it's something that hasn't happened in so long that when it does happen, you really just got to like live in the moment there, and then like whatever else is happening, you just kind of like block it out.
Was
So, but
there
I mean, the fans, the fans are they're making it so much better. Like like I said, they're so locked in. They're so energetic. Like I know my Apple Watch has gone off a couple times for the noise. Like being in a loud environment for so long can make you go deaf, but it's awesome. Like I really wouldn't want it any other way. I've worked games where there's been like very minimal fans, and it's honestly when it's a packed stadium, it's something else.
was there or has there been a moment so far this postseason that you were working that is like that's the moment? I don't know. Were you there for the big Reese home run, JT's inside the Parker, Bryce's go ahead? Was there a moment you're like, oh my god, this is surreal?
So Bryce's go-ahead homer and against the Padres, I was actually standing in the right field like alleyway, like in the concourse, just watching the game because I clocked out from my shift that day because I wasn't on the field. But like I watched it, and like all the fans are pretty much like holding each other, like waiting for like something big to happen. And as soon as it happened, like you could tell it started to get really quiet, and like he hit that, and the whole stadium just like roared. Like it was so loud. It was so cool. That's one that's really gonna stick because like that was a huge turning point for the Phillies.
No, absolutely. And as someone, obviously, an elite softball player, as I mentioned, you got your Phillies trivia, all that, and you've been around this team for a while. And you can be honest, this sort of run, is this something that you saw coming or knew they were capable of, or did it take you by surprise as well?
I knew they were capable of it. Like I really see that they just had to like hit that one stride, and they were off and running. I feel like they really hit that in the last couple weeks of the regular season. They really just kind of turned it on, just stuck with what they know, and they picked each other up. And the young kids on the team, they really have stepped up in big moments. They really have.
Absolutely. No, they have. What's one thing about being a ball girl, especially for the Phillies, that maybe there might be a misconception about, or that you think people don't know that you find interesting?
I mean, a lot of people, they ask me, they're like, "Do you talk to the players? Like, are you friends with them?" I'm like, no, like we're not there for the players. We're there for the fan interactions. I think that's something that gets misconstrued when you get the job. It's like, and you tell people you're a ball girl, is that everybody thinks like you're best friends with the players, you get all these benefits, but in reality, it's another way to interact with fans, and that's my favorite part. Is that like there's kids that always sit in my sections, and seeing their faces light up when I like come up to them or like give them a ball card or like give them a ball is just the best part. I mean,
What's
people think we're mean for giving balls out to kids, but like giving out the balls to kids is just something that really like it makes your heart happy.
what's your section usually?
So I usually try to get the third base side, but recently I've been on the first base side, and I can't really complain about it. Been really content on the Philly side for the last couple games.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being over there on the Phillies dugout side with all those fans in that little corner.
They're something else, man. They're fun. We'll
Have
put
you
it that
had
way.
a
They're very fun.
have you had any like Gold Glove moments? Any crazy, just like short hop catches down there?
It wasn't a catch, but I had one that ended up like going through the replays like of the Phillies game. When they played the Toronto Blue Jays, there was a ball that got hit at me down the first baseline, and it hit fair, but the way the ball was tailing, it was like coming right at me, and I had nowhere to move. So I jumped over it. And it was a fair ball. Like I had to get out of the way. Like I had to get it out of the way of the fair ball, but there was nowhere for me to go, so I jumped over it. And that like ended up like people sent it to me for like a couple days afterwards. They sent that to me. They're like, "Oh, that's so cool! You made it look so athletic." I'm like, "That was like the most unathletic thing I think I've ever done, like anywhere." But
Right.
like I said, it ended up on the replay of like the live feed. So some people thought it was interesting.
Hey, if you have it, you gotta send me that clip.
Yeah, I will. And then I got critics all the time that say like if I miss a ball or something, like I've always got people like shoot me texts and videos of like me messing up. It happens. I'm not perfect, but it
How
is fun when you have a bunch of critics.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure all these players get it. How different is, I guess, your mindset of when you're like playing in a competitive softball game versus on the third base or first base side for Phillies game? Because you obviously have to be aware and ready because it's a live baseball game and it's not like
Yeah.
you're in that same competitive. What's the mindset change?
So I have to like turn off like my being a player because like I see a ball hit, I want to go chase it. Like I want to field it, I want to make the play. I have to focus on me turning that off and like just being on the sidelines essentially. Like that's the hardest part for me is like turning off the inner player and like wanting to go play because it's not my job. That's not my job. That's not what I'm here for. So that's definitely the hardest part is like turning off that inner player.
So you sort of have to find that balance of turning off the player, but still being athletic and ready. And like, hey, if something comes down my way and it's foul, I'll stop it. I'll catch it. I'll do whatever. I'll get out of the way. But I can't go and make a diving catch in right field because it's not my job right now.
Yeah, no, there's no taking like any pitches off. That's the one thing that people are like, oh, you just sit down there and get that foul balls. I'm like, no, you really can't do that because like as soon as you take your eye off like one pitch, like that's the one that's gonna end up coming at you. And I've had plenty of them hit at me before that have been like screamers down the line. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad I was paying attention for that one.
No,
There's a couple of them.
It can be dangerous
It's
down that line.
scary.
So
It's scary. There's a couple of people that have gotten hit this year, even with the safety nettings that they put up that have definitely taken a couple off the body parts.
oof.
But I try to do my best. I do my best to try and protect them so they don't end up in that situation. But sometimes it does happen.
Yeah, no, it's inevitable. It's a live sporting event. I mean, ball's moving at crazy speed, but I don't know with you either. And on first base, third base side, I'd feel pretty confident if I was a section behind you. I know you kind of have everything covered.
Yeah, I usually make friends with like in our sections, and they're like, oh, they started asking me like as soon as they see me field like one ball, they're like, oh, where did you play softball at? Because like you can tell you played. I'm like, I don't tell anyone, but for like the last 10 years,
Yeah, they can tell it
10
speaks for
years or something
themselves.
like that. Hmm.
Where did not where. So this upcoming week, do you know what your schedule is for these home games?
Yeah, so I'll be there all 3 days. Monday and Tuesday I'll be selling 50-50 tickets. So that's a pretty easy job. Like half the money goes to charities. You get people to buy them. Hopefully we get it up there because we're definitely trying to put some more money into those charities' pockets. But Wednesday for Game 5, I'll be on the field.
Wednesday, you'll be on the field. I love it. So right now at the
Yeah.
moment, series is tied 1-1. They split in Houston. What is I mean, you've been, with this team forever. What's your feeling about when they come home and when they return to the jungle, as Nick Castellanos says?
I don't think Houston's going to be ready for what Philly fans have in store for them. Coming to Philly is it's something different. I mean, I've been to sporting events in other states, and it nothing compares to Philly. The fans are rowdy. They're there. They want their team to win. They're going to cheer on their team. They're going to do anything possible to make that happen. I mean, just past couple weekends, like I said, 45,000 people, everybody on their feet, everybody cheering. Like, I don't think Houston's ready for that. I know the Phillies played Houston at Houston early in the regular season or right at the end of the regular season, and it did not seem anything like Philly would be.
No, I agree. I mean, I think they'll be sort of in for a rude awakening, especially to start. What's
Mm-hmm.
So they're tied up 1-1 right now. What's your series prediction, either as a fan, ball girl, combination of the both? Jackie Himes, what do you think's going to play out in this series?
I think the Phillies are going to take 2 at home. I think it will go back to Houston, but I think the Phillies are going to take 2 out of 3 at home.
And who's winning it? And in how many games?
I'm going to go Phillies in 6.
Phillies in 6.
Go Phillies in 6. Going Phillies
Okay.
in 6. They have all the right parts. It's now just putting them all together and getting them to go at the same time.
I like that. My pre-start of the series prediction was Phillies in 7.
Phillies in 7? Not a bad one.
I think they take 2 or 3 at home, and I do think they drop that first one in Houston. I think they take it in 7, and there's an iconic moment in there. It's most likely Harper, but it could be an unsung guy, maybe a Bohm or Castellanos or maybe JT again. I think Phillies in 7, but definitely at least 2 or 3 at home.
I think I have faith in the daycare on this one. I think anytime they come up big, man. They've really stepped it up, especially in the last couple months. They've stepped it up, and they've really come up in big moments for being somebody that's my age.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Can't imagine the
These
pressure
kids,
that they're under. Yeah.
like the Stotts and Bohms and Veerlings, and they're just they're
they're our age. They're our age and they're doing something that I'll never get the chance to do. It's crazy to think of like what their mindset is, stepping into that box with so many people in the game depending on them.
Hey, well, whatever they're doing it right, and they've got the right outlook at it because they're in the World Series with a chance to take it at home.
Yeah, they do. I think they do take 2 or 3 though. I don't know which 2 or 3 they're going to take, but I do think it's going to be a 2 or 3.
I agree. I think sounds like a safe bet.
It'll be a good series though, but I'm excited to see what Philly fans have in store for Houston because based off the last couple series, it should be a good one.
I think so too. Jackie, it's been a pleasure catching up and you taking the time to speak with me. Enjoy. I'm going to be looking for you now Wednesday. That game, I'll be like, oh, there she is. She's on the field. I'm going to hopefully get some action,
Yeah, hopefully I'll be on the first base line, so you'll know where to find me.
First base line. We'll be looking. Everyone, look out for Jackie Heim, first base line on the Wednesday game.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jackie. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Keep in touch.
Yeah, best of luck. Enjoy the week.